Mile marker. 237 Halloween runs are supposed to be easy money. Light traffic, cooler air, a straight push through the night. I'd been hauling produce west out of Dallas, trying to make up a few hours I'd lost at the dock. By the time I crossed into the panhandle, the sky had gone that deep blue-black, where it almost looked solid. The radio hissed every few minutes, then went quiet again. Nothing but the tires, the engine, and the faint whistle in the cab seals. Around midnight, the wind just stopped. It's strange when that happens on open highway. No movement in the grass, no pressure against the mirrors. The world feels like it's holding still. That's when I first saw it. A small dark sedan parked on the shoulder, hazards blinking. I called it in, mentioned the mile marker, and kept rolling. Happens all the time. 15 minutes later, the same orange flash caught my eye. Same rhythm, same stretch of empty road. I frowned, checked the GPS. The screen showed I'd traveled nearly 20 miles, but the sign on the right shoulder read 237 again. I told myself it was another car, same model. Coincidence, except coincidences usually don't make your stomach drop like a stone. The third time it appeared, I slowed to 60. The flashes painted the cab in bursts of color, and for a second, I thought I saw a shape leaning forward in the driver's seat. When I rolled past, the seat was empty. The door was cracked open. My hands went numb on the wheel. I remember thinking, don't stop. Don't even glance at the mirror, because the part of me that wanted to look was the part that already knew something wasn't right. From then on, time got slippery. The clock on the dash jumped back and forth. 1:48, 2:12, 1:53. I'd look at the odometer and swear the numbers were fading lighter, like chalk in rain. Every few miles, I caught myself gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles hurt. I kept the CB on low, just to hear another human voice, but the channel stayed dead. Not even a trucker joke, not even static. Just that deep, wrong kind of quiet. I rolled the window down, hoping for air, but it felt thick and heavy. The smell hit me next, burnt metal and hot rubber. The kind that comes right after an accident. Only there wasn't one. The highway stretched ahead, clean and perfect under the moon. Then the sign showed again. Mile 237. My chest tightened. I could actually feel my pulse in my teeth. The sedan sat exactly where it had before. Only this time, the lights weren't flashing. I slowed, afraid the engine might stall if I braked too hard. As I eased past, the taillights dimmed to black. The engine stumbled once, caught again, and I pressed the accelerator until the RPM needle shook. The truck lurched forward, and the rear view mirror filled with darkness. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until the edges of my vision started to pulse. The next exit never came. I drove until the horizon began to pale, convinced I'd missed every sign. Finally, a lonely diner appeared, one of those chrome boxes with a single gas pump and a neon coffee cup in the window. I pulled in, hands trembling so badly, I almost missed the parking line. Inside, smelled like bacon grease and floor wax. The waitress poured coffee before I even asked. I must have looked awful, because she said, "Rough night, sweetheart," and I laughed too loud. I told her about the sedan, how I kept passing it, how the mile markers didn't make sense. She listened, nodding slow, then said, "You said 237. When I nodded, she frowned a little. "That stretch has been closed twice. First time a wreck. Halloween about 5 years back. Guy burned out in his car before help came. Second time, a flash flood washed the marker away." They replaced it last month. I didn't know what to say. I finished the coffee, left a tip, and went back to the rig. The sun was climbing, but the dash clock still glowed 2:37 a.m. I shut the truck off, restarted it, pulled the fuse, everything. It never changes. Sometimes, late runs take me past that same corridor again. I tell myself, I'll look, maybe stop, prove it was just exhaustion playing tricks. But when I see the numbers climbing, 234, 235, 236, my chest starts to tighten and my hands sweat on the wheel. I keep my eyes straight ahead until I'm sure I've passed whatever's waiting at 237. And every time I glance at the clock, it's still 2:37. The way station Halloween runs always have that odd quiet to them. It's not just fewer cars. It's like the whole road falls asleep. I'd left Flagstaff that morning, hauling a half load of produce bound for Dallas. By the time I hit eastern New Mexico, the sky had gone black and the air felt dry as paper. No wind, no bugs hitting the windshield, nothing. Just me, the hum of the engine, and the soft rattle of loose change in the cup holder. I'd already been driving close to 11 hours, planning to stop at a rest area another 40 miles down. Then I saw the sign, Way Station, 1 mile. Most of them close by 10, but every light in that lot was blazing. The green open sign glowing hard enough to sting my eyes. I figured maybe they were running late checks for the holiday, so I flipped my blinker and rolled in. The place looked brand new, fresh paint, lines on the asphalt still bright. The lot was empty, not another rig in sight. The office windows spilled orange light across the scale. Through the glass, I could see somebody at the counter, tall, wearing a dark shirt. They didn't move much, just sat there. I gave one quick honk, and after a second, the figure raised an arm and waved me forward. The moment my front tires left the scale, everything went black. Not a fade, not a flicker. The lights just died. For a couple of seconds, I sat frozen, the truck idling loud in the dark. Then the air in the cab shifted. It got heavy, thick, the kind that makes your chest feel smaller. I turned off the headlights to see if maybe it was a power cut on the whole grid, but the rest of the highway beyond the fence glowed fine. Only the station had gone dark. My stomach twisted tight. I grabbed the flashlight, climbed down, and felt the gravel slide under my boots. The building's window reflected my light straight back, so I cupped a hand around it and looked inside. Everything was perfectly still. Coffee mug on the counter, a clipboard, a clock on the wall stuck at 12:01. The chair behind the desk was turned slightly, like someone had just stood up. Then the flashlight dimmed. I smacked it against my palm, and the beam pulsed once, twice, like something was draining it. From somewhere came a low hum, soft but steady, a tone you feel more in your ribs than your ears. My pulse started matching it before I even noticed. I told myself it was a generator. Still, I took a step back toward the truck. The hum rose an octave, sharp enough to make my teeth ache, and then stopped altogether. The silence afterward was worse. My ears rang like I'd been standing next to an engine. That's when every outdoor light in the lot snapped on at once. White floodlights, the green open sign, everything. The glow hit me so hard, I actually stumbled. My flashlight went dead completely. I turned toward the highway and saw the road empty in both directions. Not one car in sight. I climbed back into the cab, hands slick with sweat, heart thudding like a hammer against my ribs. I tried the radio. All I got was static. I drove fast for a while. not caring about speed limits, just wanting distance between me and that place. The CB stayed silent all the way to the state line. By sunrise, I was running on caffeine and nerves. I pulled into a truck stop, called dispatch to report a power outage at the way station. The guy on the other end went quiet for a few seconds, then asked me to repeat which one. When I said the exit number, he told me the station had been closed for nearly a year. Power cut, windows boarded, no staff assigned. I didn't argue, just hung up and stared at the phone for a while. Later, curiosity got the better of me. I looked it up on my laptop. The first article I found said a trucker died there last Halloween. Massive electrical fire caused by faulty wiring. The building had been condemned ever since. Now I take the long way around every October. I can't bring myself to pass that stretch of road. Some things on this road you just learn to live with. Channel 19. I've spent most of my life on the road, and I've heard all kinds of stories passed between truckers, haunted stretches of highway, phantom hitchhikers, old stations that never existed. You laugh at most of it because that's what keeps the night moving. But the thing that happened to me on Halloween 5 years ago, I don't laugh about that one. I was running east along I-80, coming out of Wyoming into Nebraska. It was about 10 p.m., cold enough that the windshield wanted to frost. The moon was bright, the kind that makes the road glow a little, and traffic was thin. I had Channel 19 open on the CB, mostly static, sometimes a voice checking directions or weather. Nothing unusual. Around 11, a woman's voice came through, clear, calm, like she was sitting right next to me. She said, "Don't stop for the child." That was it. Just that one sentence. I figured it was somebody fooling around. You get bored enough out here, you do stupid things. I keyed up and said, "Copy that." "What child?" No answer. A few seconds later, same voice again, same tone, same words. "Don't stop for the child." That's when I noticed the signal strength meter wasn't moving. No static, no source, nothing. The radio wasn't even catching a transmission. My stomach dropped. That cold wave that runs through you when something doesn't line up with what you know. I left the channel open but turned the volume down. The next hour was quiet. I started to think maybe fatigue was setting in. Halloween night, long haul, imagination running wild. Easy to explain away. Then, just after midnight, I saw him. A small figure standing on the shoulder up ahead, right at the edge of my headlights. Looked like a kid, thin, maybe 10 years old. He was facing the road, not moving. My first thought was that he was lost or waiting for help, so I slowed down. As I got closer, he stepped back toward the grass, and for a split second, I thought he was waving. That's when the voice hit the radio again, louder this time, almost sharp. "Don't stop for the child." Every hair on my body stood up. I hit the brake just enough to keep control, but my chest locked tight. My skin crawled like something cold ran under it. I drove past at about 40, watching him in the mirror. He didn't move, didn't even turn his head as my taillights faded. My heart was pounding so hard, I could feel it in my throat. I kept my eyes straight ahead until I saw the lights of a truck stop off exit 312. I pulled in, parked between two reefers, shut everything down, and just sat there with my hands shaking. A few minutes later, another driver parked next to me. He got out, came to my window, said he'd been right behind me for about 10 miles. He asked if I'd seen the kid. I asked what he meant. He said, "That boy on the shoulder, right? You stopped for a second, then just took off like a bat out of hell." I told him what I heard on Channel 19. He went pale. He said, "Man, that's an old story. Happened every Halloween around here. Some drivers say they pick up a weak female signal, warning about a child. The first guy who ignored it back in the 80s wrecked his rig trying to avoid a kid standing in the road. They found the truck burned out, but no kid, no body. I didn't respond, just sat there, staring through the windshield. The CB was still on, volume low. I've never heard her again, not once, not on any frequency. Thanks for watching. No sleep tonight. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow and keep these horrors coming. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, sleep well.